far as I have a shiur in front of me that I got from a certain yeshiva or koilel. I want to raise 6 basic questions and share some 6 basic answers that each answer really has to be lengthened. We asked the question ourselves on Yom Rishon. Yaakov coming out the womb of his mother is holding on to the
heel.
In Hebrew, akev. What is that symbolizing? Question 2. Why is Yaakov so interested in buying the Bechorah, the rights of the Bechorah? Number 3, the blessing. Why is it so important to Yaakov and Esav, which is the subject of chapter 27? Question 4, when Esav hears that the bracha was issued to Yaakov deceitfully, he cries out, tza'aka gedola, umara, and a bitter type of crying out, when he finds out that he lost the brachot. Question 5, well, Yitzhak really did want to what? Bless Esav. So why don't you get out of your bag or your pocket another bracha and give Esav a same bracha or a different bracha? And the last question, which bothers many of us, why did Rivka and Yaakov act with deceit, with fooling Yitzhak Avinu? It's clear that the central word in this chapter, and I think that'll be the discussion of Rav Yehuda Cohen in his shiur tonight at 6:45, is a struggle. There's a struggle about who will be the Mored Derech of the world. Who will be the spiritual instructor of the world? That is the theme of this chapter. Therefore, Hashem, who knows who it has to be, his providence will bring about that when Yaakov is born, he's holding on to the heel of Esav in order to prove, Machon, you came out first. You came out first. However, the rights, the privileges of who should be first should be to those that want to sit in the tent of Torah, in the tent of values, in the tent of bringing goodness of God to the world, not those that believe in polytheism and in idolatry. And that's what it symbolizes. I'm after you. I'm after you, meaning I'm on your heel. Remember, the word Bechor was not even mentioned, that Esav is Bechor. It said Rishon. Number 2, Yaakov, when Esav comes home hungry that day from the field, Yaakov wants to buy the Bechorah. Why? Because the term Bechorah, the firstborn, the rights of the firstborn, he knows that he is the central link in a chain that will bring about what's called the treasured nation of Israel. Now, he doesn't want Esav to have any formal claims that because he came out first, his merit is to be the leader. No. Therefore, Yaakov wants to buy from him the rights of the Bechorah. That's the Bechorah. Now, what about the bracha, which is this chapter 27? Excuse me. The point of the bracha. The bracha is very important to both because the bracha will mean leadership. The bracha is a certificate of who will be the educational leader of the world. The educational leader of the world. Okay? Now, the next generation and when we become a nation. Whoever merits this bracha, he will be the leader of the world. The leader of the world. And therefore, in the wording of the bracha, we'll notice the quote, Heve gavir le'achecha. You will be the gavir, the stronger of your brother. V'yishtachavu lecha, and they'll bow down to you, b'nei imecha, the sons of your mother. If this is clear to us, there can only be one leader. There can only be one leader. When Esav finds out that he lost the bracha, he cries out. He wants the leadership. He cries out, a terrible cry. I lost it. because he feels right now there's no chance that he can become the leader of the world. Now, that leads us to understanding why they acted this way. Some of you know that this world is a very complex world of good and bad, white and black and gray, and there are a lot of difficult times. And sometimes we have to act not as according to the way you would have wanted us to act. Do you remember the marital relationship between Yitzhak and Rivka is not like the marital relationship between Avraham and Sarah. Rivka, she only received the prophecy, V'rav ya'avod tza'ir, and the older shall serve the younger. For whatever reasons, this message was not communicated to Yitzhak. You look at Yitzhak, he is deep, he's godly, he's wise. He thinks in Esav there's a possibility. He knows who Yaakov is. There's a possibility that maybe he'll get the bracha. And maybe, the Abarbanel, I think, explains this way, together, the physical, material, technological skills of an Esav, together with the spiritual, cultural, powerful values of Yaakov Avinu, maybe together will bring us a better world in the future. Maybe it'll be this dualism of two powers in two different people that will be able to use the material, physical talents of Esav to have a better world. Imagine if Thomas has to leave the shore right now and go down to the forest below with a sickle to harvest wheat. And then he's going to mill it. And then he's going to grind it. And then he's going to pour water and make a dough. And then he's going to make spaghetti. And that's going to take him 3 hours of work. Instead, we've had the Industrial Revolution. We have had the automation of the world. This too is a means that if I can just go into the grocery store and buy a fresh roll from Angel's Bakery, and then I can go back to the Beit Midrash and do my thing of learning Torah, studying, performance of mitzvot, praying, and all this. Well, the Industrial Revolution has brought a very advanced world physically, materially, that will only bring the Jewish people up higher. And therefore we can, maybe Yitzhak thought that the two together will bring about this situation. Rivka knows the real truth. Rivka grew up in a house of cheats, liars, deception. The Midrash says, Esav says, how much trumot and masrot do I have to take out of the salt? Do we take out tithing of salt, minerals from the rocks, from the inanimate? We only take out tithing from the vegetative. He wants to show on the outside that he is good. Not only good, I'm a tzaddik. Okay? Which animal does the Midrash say Esav is likened to?
Swine.
Chazir. What does a chazir show?
It's hoofs.
I have what?
It's the hoofs.
Split hoofs.
Yeah.
Look at me on the outside. I'm a kosher animal. But on the inside, he does or does not chew his cud?
No.
We have two signs of kashrut, correct? We have to have the split hoofs and the chewing its cud. But he's showing on the outside, I'm a tzaddik. I'm very good, I'm kosher. Oh, you, glad kosher, whatever you want to call it. But on the inside, he can say one thing, and he means another thing. And that is who Esav is. And who knows this deeply? Yitzhak doesn't. He's so complete. Not that he's naive, he's such a Bal Midot, he always sees the good. Rivka, and now we understand why God allowed a woman like Rivka to marry and be in the house. She knows the truth. And therefore she has to use the tactics that she saw at her home to make sure that Yaakov gets the blessing. And this appearance is all part of a divine plan, that this is how we're going to have to maneuver in our world until Yaakov's name will change from Yaakov to, once we become no longer Yaakov. Yaakov is the heel, is the foot. The heel is where the snake can bite you. But once we become Yisrael, Sar El, a minister of God, or Yashar El, straightforwardness of God, then we won't have to use these things. Although, there are times that we have to, for instance, in military matters. I heard the story this morning, I'll end it with this. Do you remember when the El Al plane was hijacked to Uganda, in the capital city of Entebbe? Okay? And we had Jews there as in captivity. So the army sent our top unit called the Sayeret Matkal unit, right? The chief of staff elite unit, with a plane and with a car exactly like the president uses in Uganda. And they arrived right before dawn, when it's darkest and when everyone is sleeping. It's the hardest hours to stay awake, even for security people. And we did what we did. And thank God, Bibi Netanyahu's brother was killed in that clash. But we did the unbelievable thing. We flew so down low over the Red Sea into Africa to free fellow Jews. Right after that event happened, and so we were sneaky in this, and we used what the Goyim know how to do best, and we used it in order to save fellow Jews. After that event, Avital Sharansky, okay, the wife of a famous prisoner of Zion, came to the defense minister, who was then, I think, Shimon Peres, and she says to, look, just like you sent in a commando unit into Uganda to free the captive Jews, we know that my husband, Anatoly Sharansky, the prisoner of Zion, is sitting in Siberia, rotting to death inside a Russian prison. Why don't we do the same thing? She says, my dear Maidala, this young woman, beloved of Sharansky, Uganda is one thing. But if we would try to attack Russia, I don't think the state of Israel would still exist. We would be bombed out of here. You have to know when to be shrewd and when you have to wait. She waited and waited. I think it was 1982 or 83. And the news came out, the secret freeing of the Russian prison, Anatoly Sharansky was delivered. He was about to arrive at Ben Gurion Airport. We received the news in all of the yeshiva world. We closed up our Gemaras. We went on chartered buses. He was a famous prisoner of Zion. We went to the airport in Ben Gurion Airport, thousands upon thousands, especially yeshiva students, to show our happiness and gladness that the prisoner of Zion, we're with him, you're our brother. 3 weeks later, after that celebration, I'm sitting in a Gemara shur here in Machon Meir, and who begins to become one of the sitters on the bench here with us? Anatoly Sharansky. He started joining the yeshiva to start learning Torah, Machon Meir. Have a great day today, gentlemen. We'll meet with